So the Venezuelan conflict is getting a little out of control. I mean, it's honestly getting ridiculous. In case any of you have missed it, Juan Guaido has decided that he wants to start a military coup that he personally calls Operación Libertad. But here's the problem with that. You can't have liberty and the United States in the same sentence, unless you were saying the United States is coming to my country to remove all liberty and autonomy from the people there. That's the only time that United States and liberty works, when you're talking about an invasion. But that's what Juan wants to call it, so I guess that's what we'll go with. And he has decided that he wants to shoot a video to announce to the world that he's going to start a military coup in a white button-up and a blazer with 5 soldiers behind him. And apparently all 5 of them are going to take over the government. Juan, when you get done, give me a call from jail. Let me know how that works out for you. With that being said, though, of course, the United States is completely 100% backing the coup. It is highly likely that those soldiers and the people who are helping Juan are being paid for by the United States. We know that we use United States quote unquote humanitarian efforts to overthrow governments. We sneak in weapons and things like that. Bomb. I mean, everything you can think of. That's how it started with Syria. We became the largest giver of humanitarian aid to Syria, and look what happened shortly after. So this is a big deal. Here's a problem with this, though. They've gone unchecked for the most part. Juan has gone unchecked. He's been emboldened by Trump, by Pompeo, by Bolton. He's been emboldened by the likes of Ricky Rubio. But most importantly, do you know what's emboldened him and the Trump administration more than anything else? The deafening silence of everyone who considers themselves to be progressive, liberal, or a leftist, except for one. There is only one presidential candidate who got it right. And as far as foreign affairs are concerned, she seems to be the only one who always and consistently gets it right. And that person is Tulsi Gabbard. You probably guessed it. I didn't want to ruin it for you, but it's Tulsi. I know. Y'all tired of hearing how right she is about everything all the time. I mean, she don't get it right 100% of the time. Like I said, I don't necessarily agree with her conclusion on prisoners shouldn't be allowed to vote. But I do agree with her logic, because as somebody who's experienced jail, wrongfully so, but still experienced it, she's right. There is a lot of people who could be taken advantage of in a system that we have candidates who won't address election integrity and election fraud, but then will turn around and wag their finger at you for not necessarily supporting their personal efforts for wanting prisoners to vote. It's not that people don't want prisoners to vote, at least if they're progressive. We 100% believe in rights, but we have to apply them and hold those rights accountable at every stage. We won't even guarantee the rights of prisoners outside of jail, or excuse me, the rights of free people outside of jail, the right to have their voice heard and to challenge the system that would try to suppress their vote. But people want to get mad and they want to get mad and then skip a step, say, but we should give prisoners the right to vote, without even checking to make sure that the votes we have now are legitimate. So although I didn't agree with her conclusion there, I still agree with her premise and understanding. And so that's like one time in the last 2 years that I've disagreed with her. So she's doing pretty damn good. I understand why people don't like her. I understand why people consider her a threat. And it's because of tweets like this. So she said, as a soldier, who knows the horrible cost of war. She was a medic, which means she didn't only see death, she tried to treat it and stop it from happening. I call on both sides in Venezuela to resolve their differences peacefully. We should always be ready to seek and speak, or sit and speak with adversaries. Civil war in Venezuela will result in an unimaginable suffering and undermine United States national security. I 100% agree with her. 100% agree with her. Now, there are some people who will probably say, well, she didn't take it far enough. Nah, as a president, that is exactly the position I want a president or a future president or commander-in-chief to have. See, you and I, we understand the situation. You and I may be able to pick sides. I'm a commentator or an analyst. You're a citizen, a concerned citizen. However, a president should not be picking sides in an internal civil dispute of any situation with another country. I mean, unless it's like pure genocide happening. But that's only with the consent of the consent and the consensus from international entities that I'm okay with even that, because it gets sticky. It gets sticky. What Tulsi is demonstrating is a belief in the self-determination, not only of Venezuelans, but of people everywhere. And she has an understanding also that the reason that this civil war started is because of United States intervention. If you remove us from the equation completely, Venezuela would have never dove into they wouldn't have nosedived into the situation they're in today. It is our corporations. It is our intelligence community. It is our government that is pushing sanctions, spreading lies, withholding valuable items like toothbrush and toothpaste and deodorant. Sanctions have never hurt any elite or any member of the government. It's only ever hurt the people, and that's not by accident. That's on purpose, people. You hurt the people get irritated, you undermine them, and you undermine the government's ability to take care of those people in the minds of those citizens. That is what we do with sanctions. We literally are trying to, there's a statistic that just came out that 40 million people have been killed in Venezuela because of sanctions, for one reason or another. Because of US involvement. So although I agree that you and I can pick sides if we want to, as a president, this is the answer that I personally want to see. Because I too believe in self-determination. I believe that when the people support the leader of their choice, they will ultimately win. And if the leader is working for the people, then we don't need to get involved because they will win. It's true. Now, here comes the part that's not so fun. And what I mean by that is that there are a lot of progressives. Now, every president, first of all, it was already bad enough because every presidential candidate, when they did first speak out about Venezuela, they all got it wrong. Bernie improved the most, but they all got it wrong in the beginning. And they're generally silent now. There was a bill introduced in the House and the Senate. The Senate bill was introduced by Bernie, by the way, to stop war in Yemen. I'm not sure if you all recall this, but Trump shot it down. He vetoed it. And unfortunately, most of the country didn't even react. We couldn't even really get traction on independent media because most of the country didn't react. Why? Because the Yemeni, unfortunately, do not have a voice here. They're not widely represented. They don't have a personal connection to people. And therefore, if the news doesn't cover it, the politicians don't cover it, then nobody will hear about it. And that's a sad fact. But here's another reason why I didn't get any traction. Because of the inconsistency we are now seeing on the progressive left, many of whom are allies of the progressive movement. You undermine any attempt to condemn Trump for perpetuating war in Syria via Saudi Arabia, war in Yemen via Saudi Arabia, the moment that you refuse to condemn the attempted coup and sanctions in Venezuela by the same administration, who is actually following the same logic. It's money. It's a money grab for the black gold. You are undermining any effort you make because you can't pretend as if you are anti-imperialist, that you care about lives, that you care about the marginalized. Even further, on a deeper level, you can't complain, or you can't pretend that you 100% care about the people of color who are affected by our imperialist, who are primarily affected overseas by our imperialist policies. If you'll condemn the war in Yemen, and at the same time are silent about the mestizos, the natives, and the black Venezuelans, who are the ones being harmed and in some cases being killed by our sanctions, and potentially will be the primary ones affected by this war. See, the reason that this is such a big deal for Tulsi, in my humble opinion, is that this demonstrates ideological consistency above all else. It shows that if she feels a certain way about a certain situation in Yemen, then she's going to behave and comment in the same fashion about Syria and about Venezuela. It shows that if she feels a certain way about Hindu phobia and religious bigotry, and she reacts a certain way, she has demonstrated that she will react and defend Muslims like Ilhan Omar with the exact same ferocity and compassion. It's ideological consistency. Isn't that what we're missing most of all right now in the White House, and have missed most of all in the last 200 years? Ever since the first president, basically. There's been no ideological consistency. Well, and if there has been ideological consistency, it's really bad. It's not good. It's like Reagan's type of ideological consistency. This is why she's already qualified for the debate stage in every way she can now for the first two debates. However, she's trying to hit 100,000 because the more that she tells the truth, people, the more she will come under attack. The more they will skew the rules to try and pretend as if she's not on the right side of truth, the more that they will try and suppress her message, the message that benefits the people not only here in the United States, but across the world. These tweets, the video I'm sure she's going to do later today, probably, knowing her, these matter. It matters. You want to know why the lies started. And then if you want to know why they fizzled out as quickly as they started, why the smears fizzled out as quickly as they began, look at the tweets. Look at the consistency. Look at her support base. It is a base of empaths and concerned citizens who are tired of, we get to live a beautiful life here. Even some of the poorest of us have a better life than many of the people living overseas who never know when a bomb is going to get dropped on their house. For oil, to put it quite simply. And Tulsi is the only one who's given a guarantee that we will not be in your country unless, one, we are invited for a legitimate peaceful reason. Two, we have unanimous approval to be there by the entities and international powers that be. And three, only, and if only, if it's right for us to be there. But first and foremost, she believes in self-determination, which I 100% agree with. She believes in peace. She's the only one who consistently and regularly talks about peace and aloha. And she's the only one who consistently and regularly calls out every single element of the military-industrial complex and every single one of their attempts to undermine international law. Go donate to her right now, if you have not. Get her to 100,000 donations. Because she needs to be in every single debate. It needs to be neck and neck with Bernie Sanders in every single race, if this country is going to have a chance, and if the rest of the world is going to have a chance. Thanks for watching that segment of Mikai Says Sukasa. Don't forget to join us on Roku and catch our Roku exclusives. Also, help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and justinform.com. But more than anything else, always remember, find your balance. Peace.